In many circles, there is a lot of talk about unconditional love. Some people claim that to place conditions on love is corruptive, that it makes love a selfish act devoid of virtue. The ideal to aspire to is a love devoid of any expectations or self-interest. In this video, we're going to explore exactly how unconditional love would manifest in real relationships and the psychology of those who desire this kind of love. So what would it look like to be loved unconditionally? Imagine a relationship where one person could say or do whatever they want and still be met with absolute love and support. At first, they may think it is wonderful. They can behave outrageously and still be loved. Initially, there may be a rush of pleasure and relief in receiving love without expectations, unconditional, divorced from any reason or logic. Inevitably, though, this excitement would slowly turn to doubt. If there is no reason for their partner's love, and if their partner does not perceive them as special or unique in any way, then conceivably, any random person off the street could receive the same love. If their partner's love has nothing to do with what they say, how they act, or even the kind of person they are, what is to stop them from unconditionally loving someone else? This insecurity is commonplace in all stages of human life, because deep down, we don't trust a love divorced from reason. Always present is the suspicious feeling that unconditional love is impossible. This insecurity is most frequently played out in children or teenagers with parents who have a hands-off approach. They might tell their children, "We trust you to make the right decisions. You can do whatever you like." Though the parents might sincerely believe that these words are an expression of love, that is not how their children receive it. To them, it sounds more like indifference. We've all heard the expression, "kids love boundaries." This is because when a parent creates rules and limitations, it demonstrates to a child that they care about them, that they want them to be safe, and are willing to make an effort to ensure that. Though some parents are guilty of imposing too many rules and boundaries, children of parents who let them do whatever they want feel extremely unsure of their parents' love. This is why teenagers often become disobedient and rebellious in an unconscious attempt to provoke their parents into imposing boundaries, and by doing so, demonstrating their love and care. So, in a romantic relationship where one person loves the other unconditionally, how would they respond to the question, "Why do you love me?" They might say, "No reason. I don't need a reason to love you. My love is unconditional. It is my selfless gift to you." The question is, would anyone really want to be loved like this, as if their partner was giving out charity? For most people, this kind of love would be highly insulting. We don't want someone to love us like they're granting a favor. We want someone to love us because it gives them pleasure to do so. We want them to enjoy being with us because our company gives them joy. There is no higher compliment to someone than saying, "I want to be with you because you make me happy." This love is not some charitable act of self-sacrifice, but a pure expression of self-interest. Ask this person that same question, "Why do you love me?" They will answer, "I love you because you are unlike anyone else I know. I love your virtues, your values, and how you live your life. You are exactly the person I want to be with." These responses demonstrate how well this person understands their partner, what makes them special and unique. This love is not unconditional. Far from it. What makes this love so meaningful is precisely the conditions that have been met. Both people want a partner who they could admire, someone who could see the real them, someone who made them happy. Is there something wrong or impure about their love because it is not unconditional? Because the relationship serves each of their self-interests and is enjoyable to both of them? There are many things in life that we don't judge people for just because they get a selfish pleasure from it. We don't judge people for exercising and eating nutritious meals because they want the selfish pleasure of a fit and healthy body. We don't judge people for learning and studying because they want the selfish pleasure of an active and engaged mind. Why should we judge people for wanting a love that gives them the selfish pleasure of feeling understood, appreciated, and happy? But if a love motivated by self-interest is not the great evil that we've all been warned of, why then is there such glorification of love that is selfless and unconditional? To answer this, we need to look at what psychological need is being fulfilled by the idea of unconditional love. Throughout human history, preachers of various philosophies and religions have claimed that humanity is sinful, that we are inwardly wicked and morally bankrupt. Though many of these ideologies have faded from relevance in the modern era, the use of guilt and shame is still one of the primary means of controlling people and instilling obedience, particularly with young children. One of the unavoidable consequences of this is that children grow up to be adults who feel flawed, broken, and unworthy of love. The promise that there is someone out there capable of loving us unconditionally, in spite of our shame and weakness, is extremely appealing. This accounts for much of the popularity of religious figures like Jesus Christ, a perfect, divine being capable of forgiving your many sins and loving you unconditionally. For someone who has committed many immoral acts and is racked with guilt and shame, this promise of redemption can be an important lifeline that helps them turn their lives around. Imagine a man who has committed terrible crimes, and the deeds of his past are public knowledge. Everywhere he goes, he is shamed, judged, and criticized. The only exception to this is an encounter he has with a monk. This monk does not call him evil or a monster, but listens to his story with love and compassion. It could be that this man was severely abused as a child, and his actions as an adult were his desperate attempt to control his environment and escape his chronic fear. Through the eyes of the monk, he sees the possibility of working through his trauma and improving his life. Naturally, this person does not need to be a religious figure like a monk. It could be a psychologist, a friend, or even a stranger on a train. Whatever the source, this kind of unconditional love has tremendous power to heal. However, this is where the word love becomes tricky, as it is used in so many different situations and with so many different meanings. Naturally, the love shown by the monk is different to the love seen in a romantic relationship. What made the experience with the monk so meaningful was that it was free from judgment, that the man was shown acceptance. But being free from judgment is just the beginning. As liberating as it was to feel accepted, it will not deliver him the joy of a true love connection with an amazing partner. This experience does not come easy though. Like many of the best things in life, it must be earned. Imagine a man who wins the lottery and buys himself a fancy car. There may be some enjoyment for him, but the satisfaction he feels does not go deeper than the surface. Compare this with an entrepreneur who struggled for years and worked hard so he could afford the same car. Imagine the depth of pride this man will feel. Now ask yourself, what will deliver a more meaningful experience? A love that was earned, or a love that was gifted unconditionally? The highest experience of love is not finding someone who will overlook your flaws and love you regardless of the choices you make. The highest experience of love comes from finding someone you admire, someone with lots of conditions for their love, and then meeting those conditions. To enjoy the love of a person with high self-esteem will be conditional on being honest, kind, creative, intelligent, and independent, as well as 1,000 other qualities. When you realize how special it is to earn and then enjoy this kind of love, the idea of a safe and unearned unconditional love loses its appeal. In this way, love is like any other spiritual attainment. One does not become patient, wise, or peaceful overnight. To develop these qualities requires discipline and practice, and love is no exception. Unfortunately, this is where the concept of unconditional love can become problematic. When most people advocate for unconditional love, they are simply trying to live up to the example of their chosen religious figures. While this is wonderful for practicing general acceptance and non-judgment, when applied to interpersonal relationships, the results are disastrous. In some relationships, the concept of unconditional love is used as a pretext for one partner being allowed to behave however they want. So what if I'm lazy and always criticizing you? You should love me unconditionally. In this kind of dynamic, one person uses the concept of unconditional love to provoke guilt and shame in their partner, implying that if they don't accept them as they are, then this is some kind of moral failure on their part. It's clear in this type of situation, they are just using the concept of unconditional love to excuse their own deficiencies. Rather than work at improving themselves, it's easier just to blame their partner. However, resorting to anger and blame is not a solution. So what should you do if you genuinely feel that you are unworthy of love? Look deeply into the feeling. Spend some time in personal reflection. There, you might discover that you're actually a very lovable person, but you carry around the remnants of guilt and shame that you adopted from the culture or your childhood. Drop these toxic belief systems and start enjoying the love in your life. The other possibility is that you discover that there are some genuine reasons for why you feel unworthy of love. Possibly some immoral acts in your past that you haven't atoned for, or some ongoing personality flaw. If that's the case, then it's time to do some self-improvement work and start building up your self-esteem. If you persevere, then eventually you too will be enjoying the glorious feeling of being loved, safe in the knowledge that you deserve it.